So, what can every service business learn from my white rafting trip in Jackson Hole, Wyoming? Let's jump in. All right. So, one thing about being a fractional CRO is that you really never turn it off. I recently spent a few days in Jackson Hole because I wanted to compare it to Park City as another resort town. I wanted to see how businesses marketed themselves, how they served customers, how they competed in a destination where every business is fighting for the same tourist dollars. We booked a whitewater rafting trip with Lois and Clark River Expeditions. And I will tell you right now, when I went to go book this, when you Google it or use chat or anything, you literally get 10 companies that go on the same river at the same price. So I want you to have that framed in the back of your mind right now when I go through this episode, because if you're listening to this and you own a local service business and pricing's the same, technically the adventure is the same. How do you get the money and not the other business? So let's jump in here. Now, first of all, our experience with Lois and Clark was a fantastic experience. Everything was great. The communication was excellent. Our guide was outstanding. But as I'm enjoying my trip, of course, my brain is doing what it always does. Because the funny thing is that most people go whitewater rafting for the adrenaline. And yes, that was amazing. But I apparently go to reverse engineer the business. So by the end of the day, I had pages of notes in my head and I rushed back after we got dropped off from the bus to make a voice note so I wouldn't forget them all. And this is the thing. I didn't have a lot of notes of you did this wrong, blah, blah, blah. It was nothing about wrong. Actually, they did a lot of things really well. But I just spotted several revenue opportunities they had already earned, like you're earning the business. They just really hadn't activated them. And that's what today's episode is all about. So, welcome to Reverse Engineering Revenue, where I experience businesses the same way your customers do. Then I put my fractional CRO hat on and break down everything they're doing. Good, bad, ugly, all the stuff. The revenue opportunities they've already earned, they just haven't activated. And that is where I want to focus. Because if I create these episodes where I talk about more of the bad than the good or whatever, they're not fun, they're not enjoyable, they're not uplifting. No business is perfect. And I'm a practical CRO, which means everything that I talk about in this episode today, you as the owner or you as the operator can go activate immediately. They're simple and effective. And the really big thing you need to remember is that if something isn't simple, if it's not effective, if it's too complicated for you to put into your business, then you just need to know there's other options. You don't need to overcomplicate life. So let's keep it simple, friends, and make some moolah. All right. And listen, like I said earlier, it doesn't really matter if this is a rafting company or not. Anyone who owns that service-based local business, this is for you, all right? So that means rafting companies, med spas, fitness studios, horse boarding facility, a retail store, or any business that delivers an experience, not just a service. These observations apply to you. So let's jump in. All right, so my observation number one. Great customer experience begins before the customer arrives. One of the biggest mistakes I see business owners make is thinking customer experience starts when someone walks through the door. Now, Lois and Clark did a great job at this because I came 100% prepared. But most businesses actually don't do this. What they don't do is make sure the person feels excited, organized, and stress-free to show up. The experience starts the second someone decides to trust your company with their money. So as soon as that transaction happens, there you go. I want you to think about the last time you booked something. Maybe it was a hotel, a vacation, concert, horse clinic, dentist appointment. The moment that you book, your brain immediately starts asking questions. Did my reservation go through? Where do I park? What should I wear? What time do I need to arrive? What happens if I'm running late? Every unanswered question creates uncertainty for your customers, and great businesses understand that. So Lois and Clark did a phenomenal job removing uncertainty before we even stepped a foot onto that bus. We received confirmation emails, reminder text messages, clear arrival instructions, parking information, what to wear, what to bring, what to expect. Nothing about it was flashy. It was just simply intentional. And that's exactly why it works so well. Every communication answered a question before I even had to ask it. That's great customer service and a great experience. And I want to double tap on that. It's an operational excellence. Okay. Now, every question you answer proactively means fewer phone calls to your office. That's a good thing. Fewer emails your team has to respond to, fewer confused customers showing up late, less stress on your employees. So when your operations improve, your customer experience improves. And those two things are directly connected. And here's what I want you to think about. Most businesses don't create friction because they have some bad product. They create friction because customers have to work harder than they should to get information. If your customer has to search your website for parking instructions, that's friction. If they're wondering what to wear, that's friction. If they don't know exactly where to meet, that's friction. And every little bit of friction chips away at the experience before they've even met your team. So the best customer experiences don't eliminate every question, they eliminate the predictable ones. So here is a super simple exercise anybody listening right now can do. Okay. I want you to grab a piece of paper and I want you to write down the top 20 questions customers ask you over and over again. Now, I know you know, okay, because you're operating it or you're the business, and I know you already know that. So just take a few minutes. If you need to pause the episode, do it, because I don't want you to continue on. I want you to ask yourself, why is a human still answering these? Could this become an automated email, a text message, a short video, a one-page PDF, an FAQ page, a simple checklist? Technology isn't replacing hospitality. Technology creates space for better hospitality. Oh, and one bonus point on creating an FAQ page on your website is that, especially for really competitive markets like Lewis and Clark's Whitewater Rafting, and there's 12 other people doing the exact same thing, but everyone who is going to go whitewater rafting has typically the same questions. So if you answer them on your website and they don't, guess where Google and the AI tools are going to point people? To your website, not the competitors. So that's a bit of a hack, my friends. Okay. And also, I talk about AEO and SEO in my free 7-day sales jumpstart. So if you're a local business owner and you haven't jumped into that yet, please go to revenuerascals.com/the local guild, and 7 days free. And that's included in there. All right. So let's keep moving along here. This is the deal. Like I had said, technology creates space for better hospitality. So instead of humans doing all the nagging stuff, they can really focus on the experience, because this is the deal. When your team spends less time answering repetitive questions, they have more time to create memorable experiences when customers actually arrive. And that's exactly what Lewis and Clark did so well. And by the time we got there, and mind you, it was a large group. I think there was 13 of us. There was no confusion, no chaos, no uncertainty. Everyone already knew where to be and what to do, and the team wasn't managing problems. They were focused on creating an incredible experience. And that was absolutely not an accident. That was by design. So here is my question for you. If I secretly became your customer tomorrow, would I experience friction before I ever even walked through the door? Because if you can remove that friction, you've already made your business better before you've delivered a single minute of your service. All right, so once we arrived, something interesting happened. The email stopped, okay? The text messages stopped, as they should. The systems faded into the background, and that's exactly what should happen, right? Because once the logistics are taken care of, your people become the experience. And that's where I made my second revenue observation, one that I think is the biggest competitive advantage any service business can have. Now we're into observation 2. All right, because once all these logistics are taken care of, like I just mentioned, you become the experience, right? Listen, our guide was phenomenal. He was funny without trying too hard, confident without being arrogant. You could tell he loved what he did. He made everyone feel safe, relaxed, and excited all at the same time. So, reaching out to you, Ben, great job if you ever listen to this episode. And quite frankly, that's not easy. And here's what's interesting. I don't remember the model of the raft. I couldn't tell you what life jacket I wore. I couldn't even tell you what bus picked us up, but I absolutely remember our guide. That's because people don't remember products. They remember their people in these experiential service-based businesses. Now, of course, if our raft had a giant hole in it, I would remember that. But just as like a baseline, I'm remembering my experience with the guide. And I think business owners spend way too much time obsessing over things customers barely notice, like the perfectness of equipment, the building, the logo, the website, uniforms, all those things frankly matter. And I don't want to take away from them, but I want you to think about who you would go back to. Would you go back to the company that had perfect uniforms or a perfect experience and you felt relaxed and safe? Right? So when you want to take away that competitive base layer, you just up your experience. And there's actually this book that I'm obsessed with. When I got my first hospitality client, it was actually required reading, and it's called Unreasonable Hospitality. And if you have not read that, you need to read it. It's just so good. And I'd actually love to have the author on my podcast one day because people care. And what they care about is what they do when they get off of it, right? They talk about the employee who made them laugh, the server who remembered their kid's name, the trainer who got them confidence, the technician who took a little extra 5 minutes to explain something, the guide who made them feel like they've known them for years. That's what gets remembered. That's what gets reviewed. And that's what gets referred. And if you're a business owner, I want to ask you a really kind of tough question. If your customers are remembering your people, what are your people giving them to remember? Because culture isn't something customers see, they can feel it, and you really can't fake great service. It comes from hiring the right people, training them well, empowering them to make decisions, recognizing great performance, creating an environment where they actually enjoy showing up for work. When your employees enjoy serving people, customers enjoy buying from them. That's not marketing, that's leadership. So here's my question for you. If I interviewed your last 10 customers, what would they say about the people on your team? Because that's your brand, not your logo, not your website, your people. Now, this is a huge struggle for a lot of companies because part-time or hourly work, hours plus tip, that's a really difficult position for people to stay for a long period of time to get the caliber that you would like. But I can promise you it's 100% possible. That's also covered in the 7-day sales jumpstart. So make sure you go to the link in the show notes and get that for free. Now, here's where my CRO brain really kicked in. There was one thing that they were already doing that I absolutely loved. And with one small tweak, I honestly really believe they could generate hundreds, maybe thousands of additional Google reviews over the next few years. So here's my observation number 3. Okay, this is the deal. If reviews matter, because they do, build a system around them. You can't treat it like a nice to have. It is absolutely mission critical, especially for businesses that focus on experience. Now, Jackson Hole, like I mentioned before, is incredibly competitive for every tourist dollar. And, we're specifically talking about rafting, but it is everything. So there are and like to double tap on rafting, I'm not kidding you. If you all go right now, you will see what I'm talking about if you go and Google whitewater rafting and Jackson Hole, because you're going to get so many options. Your head's going to explode. I will tell you that right now. So this is the deal. As a customer, it's really honestly very difficult for me to tell them apart. Everyone promises a great experience. Everyone has good equipment. Everyone's has experienced guides. So what becomes the deciding factor? Still, Google reviews. They're absolutely everything, and Lewis and Clark understands that. While we're riding back on the bus, the driver mentioned something really interesting, that the guides have an internal competition to see who can generate the most Google reviews. I immediately thought, brilliant. Love it. Healthy competition is fun. Recognition motivates people. Everyone wins. The company gets more reviews. The guides take pride in the experience that they're creating. Customers get reminded to leave feedback. Absolutely love it. Love it. Love it. But then I started thinking, how are they actually tracking it? The bus driver encouraged everyone to leave a review for our guide. But unless I actually remember to type his name in there and say that he brought me there to write the review, there's really no way to know who influenced it. Most customers aren't going to remember. Like, I remember Ben because I'm writing this episode, right? I have a podcast, but it's usually not the case, right? They're going to say, we had an awesome guide or whatever it is, but that's it. And then the office staff would have to go back manually and be like, who was their guide? Look them up. So much time and energy wasted, right? So if I was the owner or if I was in charge of this operationally, here's exactly what I would do to make this actually really work. And it's not a ton of more effort. Every guide gets their own personalized QR code. Okay. Then it's getting put on the life jacket, just an iron on screen print, whatever it has to be. Put it on the paddle, clip it on the helmet, anywhere on the guide. Okay. I just think this will work so amazing. Hand out a waterproof card at the end of the trip that has the QR code. And this is the deal. When someone scans the QR code, and if you use a platform like I recommend, which is Go High Level, you can actually pop into the QR section and see how many clicks and what has happened and all of the data and the analytics. So this is so cool because now every scan gets tracked. Management knows how many people scanned the code, how many reviews were submitted, which guides consistently create 5-star experiences. Now imagine putting that information on a scoreboard, just like a sales leaderboard, right? Guide Sarah, 91 Google reviews. Woohoo! Guide Mike, 118, right? You get the point. Ben, woohoo, you won 150. Now you've created something super powerful: recognition, accountability, a little healthy competition. And here's why I love this idea so much, because it isn't just about getting more reviews. It's about creating a culture where exceptional customer service experiences get recognized. People perform differently when excellence gets celebrated. Sales teams know this, athletes know this, top performing organizations know this. If reviews are one of the biggest drivers of new business for a local business, why wouldn't you manage them with the same intention you would manage sales? Reviews aren't marketing, they're a measurable business system. And when you treat them that way, they become one of the most valuable growth assets. So here's my question for you. If online reviews are one of the biggest reasons customers choose your business, do you have a review strategy, or do you just hope people leave one? Because hope really just usually doesn't work for growth. All right. Now, before I jump into my observation number 4, I think you should see the crazy white rafting experience that we had. So yes, I bought the professional video. Yes, you're going to want to see this. And yes, you should totally go to Lowe's and Clark and book with Ben. So if you're watching on YouTube, let's cut in right now. And if you're listening just from on one of the podcasts and you can't see it, you will be able to hear the joy and the excitement. All right, that was pretty cool, right? Let's jump into number 4. All right, so the next revenue observation happened completely by accident. Actually, it was while I was standing in line for the bus, there were 2 photographers that were advertised to us that they had been taking pictures when we went through one of the rapids called Lunch Counter, which is the most exciting one to go down. It's actually pretty cool. There's even surfers on it, which I didn't even know you could do. Okay. So they had these codes that you could scan on the bus to go to get your pictures. Pretty standard. Like a lot of people do that. But this is something I want to bring up. One of the photographers offered something that the others didn't, and that is the video. Now, the video you just watched was the reason I bought everything from him and not the other guy. That's it. So I got photos and a video from the second photographer. There was no option for the video with the first. Now, the pictures were almost identical, to be frank. So why would I not also get the video? And the way that he priced it is it was just like an extra 30 or 40 bucks to get all your photos and the super cool high quality video, which I think you would agree is when you just watched it. And then, or I would just get the photos and maybe save 30 bucks. And to me, I'm like, at this point, why wouldn't I want the video? It didn't make any sense, right? So the photographer selling the video by far gets it. And I'm willing to bet has a lot more purchases than the other one. Okay. And I made this purchase, like I said, not because it was cheaper, because it wasn't, not because they were a better salesperson trying to get me to purchase. Not frankly, the photos were exactly the same, but the perceived value was simply higher. And that got me thinking. How many businesses are trying to compete on price when they should be competing on value? Customers don't wake up hoping to spend less. They wake up hoping to get more for the most part for these types of experiences. I know there's an argument against that, but the easiest way to increase revenue isn't always just arbitrarily raising prices. Sometimes it's simply making your offer more valuable. Think about your own business. What is your version of the video? Maybe you're a horse trainer. Could every lesson include a short recap video for the rider to watch before the next lesson? Maybe you're a contractor. Could every project include drone footage for a time-lapse video homeowners can share with their friends? Maybe you're a med spa. Could every treatment include a personalized aftercare video instead of printed instructions on a sheet? Maybe you're a fitness coach. Could clients receive a library of extra exercise videos after each session? Notice what all of those examples have in common. They don't dramatically increase your cost, but they dramatically increase perceived value. Customers rarely compare offers with feature by feature. They rarely do that, especially when it comes to these experiences. But they dramatically increase perceived value. They compare them by how complete they feel. One offer feels basic and the other feels like, wow, they really thought of everything. And that's where pricing pressure starts disappearing. So here's my question for you. What's the one thing you could add to your customer experience that would make people say, of course I'm choosing you? Because sometimes one thoughtful addition creates more value than a 10% discount ever could. Don't listen to your sales team's calls. Have AI do it for you. Objectionly is an AI software that's been trained on over 100 sales calls in over 13 different industries, and it can tell you why your prospects aren't buying so you can increase revenue. Turn 3 hours a day of call review into 3 hours a week. All you have to do is connect your existing call recording software, and you can try it for free today. Objectionly is an AI software that reviews every sales call to deliver the truth about why more dials aren't turning into set appointments and why more demos aren't ending in a lovely wire transfer. You can see each rep's biggest problems, the moments in every call that it happens, and immediately click into these moments to watch them. Get every sales call scored against your sales script to see what went wrong in every dial or closing call and what needs to be done differently to improve. No more sales call marathons late into the night when the numbers are bad to find the issue. No more asking sales reps what their problems are and getting opinions instead of facts. Just clear insights on how the team is doing in seconds without spending hours doing call review. Go ahead and cancel your 3-hour time block on your calendar for call review today, because in the next 5 minutes, you can upload a sales call and immediately see why your reps are losing easy to win deals. If you want this for your sales team, click below and watch a short 3-minute video on how it works and try it out on a free 14-day trial. So we are into observation 5 of 6. So we're rounding the corner, friends. So the experience shouldn't end when the customer leaves. This is probably the biggest revenue opportunity I saw all day. And it's not unique to rafting companies. I see it in almost every service business. The experience ends and so does the relationship. I want you to think about how much work goes into earning one customer. The marketing, the advertising, the website, the reviews, the phone calls, the booking process, the employees, the operational planning, the actual delivery of the service. And then you finally earn a happy customer and then nothing. Maybe they receive a thank you email. Maybe they get one request for a Google review. Then 6 months go by before they ever hear from you again. That doesn't make sense to me, and it shouldn't make sense to you. You already earned their trust. Why would you stop the conversation now? If I owned that rafting company, I'd be asking one question. How do I turn one forgettable afternoon into a relationship that lasts for years? So here's what that could look like. The day after the trip, send everyone their photos that they have purchased, right? Include their video. Thank them for spending the day with you. Ask for a review. A week later, share a behind-the-scenes story about the river. Introduce another guide. Show customers something they didn't get to see. A month later, invite them back for another adventure. Highlight a different section of the river. Offer a sunset float. Because one thing that our guide did a good job at is he was talking about how the water changes. And like every month, you could get a completely different experience. So use that for your marketing, right? I think that is really, really important. So then you offer them to come back. Now, I'm driving distance to Jackson. And so it would be easy for me to have another experience. Not everyone's driving, but also if I get these emails and I'm like, oh, my friend Megan would love that. I think she's going there soon. And you forward it, right? Then your happy customers are selling on your behalf. It's really, really cool. Another thing you could do is you could recommend another local business within the email if you have some type of reciprocal referral fees. I want you to become their trusted guide for the area that you're providing the service, not just for the service that you provide. Maybe it's an annual return discount. Maybe it's a referral program. Maybe it's a VIP adventure club. Maybe it's seasonal updates that simply keep you top of mind. The point is not the tactic. The point is the relationship. Far too many businesses think that they're in transaction business and they're not. They're in the relationship business. And every great experience creates emotional equity. The question really is, do you have a system that turns that emotional equity into long-term customer value? Because if you don't, you're constantly paying to replace customers you've already won. And as a fractional CRO, that's one of the things that I look for to fix. Not just how do we get more customers, but how do we get more lifetime value from the customers who already love us? Those are two very different questions. And the second one is usually much cheaper. So I hope you like it. So here's my question for you. If I became your customer tomorrow and absolutely loved the experience, what would happen after I walked out the door? Would I hear from you next week? Did you already book me before I even left? So if it's not a destination, if it's somewhere you live locally, like a med spa, did you already book my next facial? Next month, next season? Would you continue building that relationship? Or would I become a happy customer who slowly forgets about your business until I happen to need you again, but then I didn't hear from you enough, so I can't remember who you are, and then I try to figure it out, and then my emails are all gone, and I'm like, what the heck? And then I book with somebody else. I mean, if you listened to my episode where I talked about the tree service company that I absolutely loved that helped us last year, the only reason we booked him again this year is because I had saved a Venmo transaction. Like I could see in the transactions what the guy's name was. So then I could go search and find him. Never received any communication. So someone who's not great at investigating or remembering like me would have absolutely never come back. And that's the harsh truth. Because this is the deal. Local customers don't happen by accident. They're nurtured. And the businesses that understand that don't have to chase nearly as many new customers because the ones they already have keep coming back. And that just compounds on itself month after month, year after year, and bringing their friends with them too. That's a big one, friends. All right, so we are into observation 6 and our last one. And as a reminder, I want every local business to succeed. And I truly believe that most do not have access to the information and the sales strategies, the revenue strategies that you need to be successful. So please, I poured my heart and soul into it. Go to revenuerascals.com/the local guild, and you will gain access to my 7-day sales jumpstart that literally covers everything in this episode, but customized for you, even including AI prompts to make it super easy for you. So, observation 6, your happiest customers should become your marketing department. As I drove away from Jackson Hole and I was thinking about this episode, one question just kept running through my head. How many incredible customer experiences happen every single day that never create another customer? Like, really think about that. Everyone on our raft had an amazing time. We laughed, we got soaked, we took pictures, we made memories. Those are exactly the type of experiences people naturally want to talk about. And that's the marketing, not the kind that you buy. What I like to say, it's the kind that you earn. The reality is your happiest customers are your most underutilized marketing asset, not because they don't want to tell people, but because most businesses never give them a reason or an easy way to do it. So I want you to really think about this for your business. If someone absolutely loved working with you this week, what happens next? Do you encourage them to share their experience? Do you make it easy for them to tag you on social media? Do you give them something worth posting? Do you reward referrals? Do you stay connected? Or do you simply hope they'll remember you next time someone asks for a recommendation? Because, friends, hope isn't a strategy, systems are. The businesses that grow the fastest aren't always the businesses with the biggest advertising budgets. They're the businesses whose customers become their biggest advocate. Every 5-star review, every tagged photo, every referral, every conversation that starts with, "You have to check this place out." That's what I like to call earned marketing. And it costs a whole lot less than buying another ad. I will tell you that. As business owners, we spend so much time trying to create the next lead that often you're forgetting about your existing customers that are absolutely your best lead source. So when someone trusts a recommendation from a friend, you've skipped one of the hardest part of the sales process. Trust has already been transferred. So your job is simply to make it incredibly easy for your customers to tell your story. So here is my question for you. Are you asking your customers to market your business, or have you built a system that naturally inspires them to do so? Because those two things are really different. And I have created 9 campaigns for you inside the free 7-day sales jumpstart that will help you do this. So please go to revenuerascals.com/the local guild. Now, let's wrap this up. So, what did one afternoon on the river in Jackson Hole teach me? Well, actually, it didn't teach me anything new. It reminded me of something I've believed for a really long time. Great businesses don't become great by accident. They intentionally design experiences that remove friction, create confidence, build trust, and leave customers talking long after the transaction is over. So Lois and Clark River Expeditions, you did an incredible job. And hey, I hope somebody sends you this episode. I sure will try, because you have a few opportunities that could really take your business to the next level. Because this is the deal, is your team is already exceptional. The experience was memorable and the communication was thoughtful. And that's exactly why I chose you to be on today's episode. Not because they needed fixin', but because they're proof that even exceptional businesses have opportunities they've already earned but have not activated. And that's what excites me as a fractional CRO. I don't want to walk into companies looking for problems. I want to look for momentum that we can capitalize on, because it's almost always easier to amplify something that's already working than it is to rebuild something that isn't. So here is my final challenge for you. Go to a restaurant, book a hotel, take your kids somewhere, or pay for any type of service. Don't just be a customer. I want you to reverse engineer the business. Pay attention to what made you feel confident. Pay attention to the moments that surprised you. Pay attention to what made you trust them. And then ask yourself one question. How could I bring that same experience into my own business? Some of the best business ideas I've ever had didn't come from business books. It came from simply paying attention, because revenue opportunities are everywhere if you train yourself to see them. So thanks so much for hanging out with me on Revenue Rascals, and especially for my version of reverse engineering revenue. So this is the deal. I'd love to do more of this. So if you're a local business that would like me as a customer, let me know. And so I live Park City, Utah, so anywhere close, I'd love to go experience it. But also, if you're a cool destination, let me know. I want to go check it out. And it's some free business advice for you. So listen, I've got pages and pages of notes of other businesses I've visited. And I have a feeling this is going to become one of my favorite series, because every business has something that we can learn from. And if you're looking for practical ways to grow your business without spending more money on marketing, I'd love to invite you to join my free 7-day sales jumpstart. RevenueRascals.com/the local guild. It's 7 days of simple, actionable sales strategies designed to help you generate more revenue using customers, leads, and opportunities you already have. You can grab it for free just using the link in the show notes. So until next time, keep asking better questions, keep looking for opportunities, and as always, stay a little rascal. Thanks for listening to Revenue Rascals, where we turn bold ideas into predictable revenue and prove that breaking the rules can still build empires. If you love what you heard, do me a favor. Tap the links in the show notes to support our sponsors. They're the ones keeping this show free, so I can keep ungating the strategies that help you scale faster, lead smarter, and take more freedom home with you. And hey, if you think you'd make an incredible guest or know someone who's built something worth studying, email me at hello@michelleterpster.com. And until next time, stay sharp, stay bold, and stay just a little bit rascal.